Hello everyone, this is Paul with Youngblood Law, and if you're watching this, it's because you clicked through to get to our child support crisis relief video. Okay, so that's the video you're watching right now. If you think this is something else, this is not it. Okay, so the crisis relief video is designed for one purpose, really is to educate non-custodial parents, parents who have a child support obligation, or what the Attorney General's office calls the obligor, about the effects of the coronavirus and what's happening right now, as far as a child support crisis that's on the very near horizon. Okay, so we were thinking about these problems that folks are fixing to have, right? So people aren't really thinking about this right this second yet, but here's what's going on. As we all know, the economy is taking a hit right now. There's a lot of people who are getting sent home from work, who are being furloughed, who are being laid off. Some of these businesses that are shut down right now will not reopen, and not because I say so, just because there's not going to be money. There's a lot of stores right now, mom and pop restaurants that don't have a drive-through and things like that that are really taking a hit. And unfortunately, my fear is, and what I believe to be the case, is that when this economy kind of takes back off and this coronavirus thing kind of blows over, some of these businesses will be thousands of dollars in debt to their commercial leaseholder, so that they won't be able to, they'll get locked out of their office space, or they'll get locked out of their restaurant from the person who owns the lease. I think that there is a possibility that if all these companies are being closed right now and they're laying off people, they still have to pay a lot of those people their accrued time off and other things like that. So the companies are still having to pay even though those workers are not generating income. And so the company may not reopen. Some of these companies probably won't, man. And I feel awful about that. I am a hardcore capitalist. I'm very much all about the free market and people being able to conduct business they want to conduct, and grown-ups being able to choose the work they want to be in and the companies they want to do business with. But the simple fact is there's a lot of local governments who are really cracking down, and Tarrant County is kind of in that same boat, all right? So, in fact, there's been a lot of pressure on even law firms like mine to close our doors. Now, look, all my staff is working remotely. I'm actually at my home office right now doing some work for the firm as we speak. So I've been working. We're not in our actual physical office, but we are still conducting business on behalf of our clients. Okay. So that brings me to this video. All right. If people who owe child support get laid off, have their hours reduced, lose their job goes away, their employer goes away, what's going to be the effect on child support? That's the crisis that I'm wanting to address right now. Okay. I think there are three main things that people need to know, and I want to address them individually. But here we go. First, will there be forgiveness for unpaid child support during this COVID-19 shelter in place, everyone freaking out time right now? All right. I don't believe there will be. So answer number one to the question is no, I don't believe there will be forgiveness or any kind of forbearance on these child support payments. I know that in the news there's a lot of information out there that the president's talking about making mortgage people hold off on foreclosures and stuff, and renters not getting kicked out if they fail to pay their rent. I understand they're talking about billions of dollars of bailouts of big companies that are too large to fail, etc. What about child support? Why won't child support also, non-custodial parents, why won't we get a break on this child support? And here's a couple of reasons why. First, child support is not a debt, it's a duty. Child support You cannot discharge it with bankruptcy. You can't go back to the judge and just say, hey man, I don't make enough money, or I shouldn't have to pay this, it's not fair. Child support is a legal duty that a non-custodial parent has to the child, not even really to the custodial parent. It's the duty is to the child. And that duty actually persists even after the obligor passes away. Almost all people who in Texas who have an order, there's a provision under the child support part that says termination on death of the child, but not of the obligor, right? If the obligor passes away, your child support burden continues until that child ages out. And so the Attorney General's office can actually go after your estate. So you can't even get out of child support by dying. I'll give you a quick example. I had a gentleman in our office maybe a year ago, old guy in his very late 70s. He came in with like one of those oxygen hoses, and he was carrying with those little carts that has the green oxygen tank on it. And he had like $80,000 of back child support from a divorce decree from the 80s, right? So a lot of facts added up against this gentleman. He had moved out of town moved out of state for several years. At that time, the Attorney General's office was charging 12% interest. And so his debt got really huge. And now here he is on disability, is his only income, like Social Security disability, SSDI, I guess, was his only income. And the Attorney General's office was garnishing half of it to pay back his arrears. And, also the child that he was ordered to pay this child support for had died in his 40s of some tragic, met some tragic end. So the child wasn't even still alive. He has $80 some odd thousand of back child support, and he can't even die and get out from under it because the Attorney General will come after his estate. So I think that saying that, hey, economic times are tough and I've lost my job, I do not believe for one second that that's going to be enough to warrant some kind of forgiveness for child support. Here's another reason why I do not believe that there will be forgiveness for child support. You may have lost your job or been furloughed or had your hours reduced or whatever. The obligee parent, the custodial parent, may also have lost his or her job. And regardless of which parent has a job or which parent doesn't have a job, the child still needs to eat, still needs clothes, still needs water, still needs school supplies, still needs, everything the child always needs. So I do not believe for one second that there will be forgiveness as to any missed payments of child support during this time, because the child still needs it regardless of whether the non-custodial parent has a good job or not, okay? So my strong prediction is going to be no, there's not going to be any forgiveness for you. If you owe child support, you owe child support. If it's accruing each month, it's going to continue to accrue regardless of whether you're employed, okay? So that's the first thing I think most obligors need to know. Now, a pro tip, consider that the Attorney General's office will eventually come after you for unpaid child support, but if you file your case early, there won't be a big arrears for them to come after, okay? So if you're losing your job, you've been furloughed, now obviously if you're just at home for a few days, in a couple of weeks you're going to be back to work, you're going to just need to struggle and you're going to get a little behind on your child support and you're going to get paid and you're going to pay up. If this thing persists or your job doesn't come back and you're unemployed for 2 or 3 months, 4 or 5 months, 6 or 8 months, the Attorney General's office is going to come after you, man. And when they do, you're going to be in a real pickle. So what do? Filing early helps stave off the Attorney General's office from coming after you, all right? And I do believe that the Attorney General's office will come after you because there have been economic downturns in the past, right? if you go down in Tarrant County, down to the family court building on the first floor, they have the 4D courts. Those are the courts where the Attorney General's office has brought a child support suit. There are dads down there and moms, obligor parents, who go to jail all the time. Those judges, there's 3 judges down there that put people in jail regularly because they haven't paid their child support. If all you had to say was, man, I lost my job, well, all those people would just say they lost their job and no one would go to jail. So the fact that someone is unemployed or they're struggling is not an indicator that the courts will have any mercy on that obligor parent. And they're not going to have mercy because the obligee parent, that custodial parent, still needs the money. So if I'm having mercy on the non-custodial parent, then that parent who has the kids right now, where's the mercy for them? How are they going to make ends meet? So that's the answer. No forgiveness. That's my prediction. The second thing I think most folks need to know is if you go ahead and file your case now, when will the change in your child support amount take effect? Y'all, everything that the Attorney General's office does is pretty slow, okay? So expect 2 to 3 months. From the date you get your order, expect a couple of months before the new amount really kicks in, okay? But that said, do I recommend you wait 2 or 3 months to file? No, I don't, and here's why. Let's do a scenario. If you say someone loses their job today and they wait 5 or 6 months and then file to modify their child support, okay? If they do, or even worse, let's say this. Someone loses their job and they don't pay child support for 4, 5, 6 months, and the Attorney General files a case against that person, okay, trying to collect that back child support and trying to put you in jail, right? So they're gonna go to the court and they're gonna say, look, Judge, this person hasn't paid in 6 months. That's $1,000 a month is $6,000 in child support unpaid, and so we need that $6,000 and we need them in jail like right now because they haven't paid. All right. If we were to file your case the first month that you know you're unemployed, even if it takes 2 or 3 months or 4 or 5 months to get a resolution in the case, we could backdate the change in your child support back to the date of filing. Okay? So that means that in the interim months, your child support amount might still be the full amount, but eventually you'll get extra credit back. You'll get credit for overpayment, and that buys you some cushion in case you ever do get behind again in the future, right? So we would think that taking action sooner rather than later is going to have numerous benefits for you. Also, kind of a pro tip, if you take action and you file your case and you try to get your child support amount adjusted down, that is going to be beneficial for you because the courts don't have mercy on you 6 months down the road. You come in and say, hey, Judge, I would have paid my child support, but I lost my job. Okay. The court says, well, you should have taken action 6 months ago, not now, right? So they have no mercy. So even though it's going to take a few months probably to get the full effect and get the full relief, the sooner you file, the sooner you get to the relief. And the sooner we file, we go ahead and establish a set date that we can kind of backdate those child support obligations from the date of filing. And so that could save you hundreds and thousands of dollars, who knows what, right, over the course of several months. All right. Third, the bigger case, the question that we want to know right now is, should you go ahead and file? I mean, this is closely related to the last one. Should you go ahead and file now? Obviously, yes. The sooner you file, the better. Being able to reduce the amount of child support, because we could go into court early in your case, set a hearing, and get temporary orders if we need to, right, for an adjusted amount of child support. And so as your case progresses over several months, you're assessed a smaller amount of child support rather than the historic, amount of child support based on your last job, right? So going ahead and starting your case now helps. Here's another reason. Right now in Tarrant County, and I've addressed this in a couple of videos on my Facebook page, probably not on my website, but some of you will be aware that a lot of the courts in the state right now, including Tarrant County, are they're pushing off hearings that they don't think are emergency hearings, right? So the courts are still hearing protective orders. They're still hearing writs, like a writ of habeas corpus or a writ of attachment when a parent is keeping the child too long. They're hearing other emergency problems like sometimes there are jurisdictional deadlines, like there's like statutory deadlines that a hearing has to happen on a certain date or else the case gets dismissed or something like that. So the court is still hearing cases like that. But all the regular non-essential cases like temporary restraining order cases, temporary orders hearings cases, modification of temporary orders, the court's not hearing those cases right now. All those are getting pushed out to some indefinite date. In fact, not all the courts are open on any given day in Tarrant County right now. So we got a chart from the courts that says, on Monday, all the court activity happens in this particular court. On Tuesday, all of this particular court. And they're doing that so that the janitorial staff at the courthouse doesn't have to go around and sanitize all the courtrooms in the building every single day, right? So they can go and sanitize one courtroom and the others are just closed. So they're not getting traffic in there, right? So there's some practical reasons, but the courts are largely shut down. So filing now means that you're going to get on the court's docket. If you get on the court's docket, when all this like COVID-19 thing blows over and everyone gets back to work, you get a chance to modify your child support. You're already on the court's radar, as opposed to now the COVID-19 thing is over and now everyone is wanting to file all these, all their modifications. There's going to be a bunch of parents who are pissed off about missed visitation during this time, and so they're going to file enforcements. There's going to be CPS cases because parents are getting locked up with each other and with the kids for 2 or 3 weeks straight, and there's going to be some volatile situations there. And so I anticipate a real rush at the courthouse when this coronavirus panic thing is over, okay? Getting on the court's docket now is going to mean that you get a sooner, faster court date than the people who are in the middle of that rush right after this coronavirus scare is over. Those people are all going to be wanting to file, and the courts are going to be slammed. You're going to be in the middle of all that. That means the relief you need maybe 2 or 3 or 4 months further down the line. And so again, the sooner you file, the sooner you get in the court, right? So the court's not hearing all these cases right now, but they're not hearing most cases. Getting on the court's docket now speeds up your day in court that we can get you the relief you need, okay? So, which brings us to what people, what can you do, okay? So what we've talked about is 3 reasons why, 3 reasons that, 3 facts that you need to know during this coronavirus crisis for child support is 1, there's not going to be any forgiveness. 2, we've talked about, when you're going to see the relief if you go ahead and file your case. And 3, should you file now? Okay, so we've talked about those 3 things. What does Youngblood Law going to do about this coronavirus crisis for child support? What are we going to do? So here it is, right? I know there's a lot of family lawyers out there who are kind of freaking out, and they're talking about laying off staff, and they're talking about what are we going to do if there's no cases? Look, Youngblood Law is not worried about it. Youngblood Law runs our firm like a business, okay? We're driven by the numbers. We're not freaking out because we know that there are always opportunities for people. And in this crisis situation, we know that one of the ways we can help people is going ahead and helping people file this child support modification that they need right now. Okay? Well, sure, any law firm can file a child support mod. You don't have to use us. If you watch this video, I hope you would use us, but if you watch this video and say, holy crap, that guy is annoying, I can never do business with him, I understand that. Please go hire another lawyer to file your child support modification, okay? But what is Youngblood Law going to do that's different from what other law firms are going to do? Okay, so what we're working on right now and what we're offering right now is special pricing and special payment options to get your modification filed. I don't quote prices over the phone, generally speaking, but I will give you this information here. Most of the time, we feel like we can start a child support modification for $3,500. Okay, that's our typical retainer. Sometimes the retainer might be less than that. Sometimes it might be more than that. It depends on the individual facts of the case. But in this coronavirus crisis, Youngblood Law is out here trying to help as many people as we can stave off a real financial crisis that could lead to jail time. Did you know that the Attorney General's office routinely seeks to put people in jail over unpaid child support? Imagine what it's going to be like when the economy does pick up and you're trying to secure a new job and the Attorney General is trying to throw you in jail for 6 months, right? So we're trying to help people avoid that. So here's what we're offering. We're offering special payment plans, so we would start a new case at $1,500 instead of our typical $3,500. That includes your filing fees, and that includes up to $200 to get the custodial parents served with the appropriate paperwork so that the suit can move forward, okay? We can do all of this without you having to come to our office. As I told you, the office is closed. Our office is operational. Our physical office in our office building is closed. We can take your consult by phone or by Zoom or by Skype or by FaceTime. We can do a consult at your convenience that way. All of our documents for our intake process are digital. We can send all that out to you. You can fill it out online without having to print it, and you can email it back to us. Click the submit button and we get your stuff back. We will draft your documents and get it filed with the court and get the custodial parents served with process so that we can move forward with this case. So that's the deal that we're offering right now. So we're also offering lower monthly payments after the initial retainer, okay? So normally, like I said, we would start at $3,500. For right now, we're doing child support modifications for $1,500 down and then a smaller payment than our typical payment each month until this case is over. And so we want to make sure that if we have to negotiate or we have to go to trial, there's plenty of money for that without creating a cash crunch for you. But we are waiving our typical $3,500 retainer to make sure that more people can get in. Speaking of getting people in, we're waiving our consult fee. So typically our consults run about an hour and we usually charge about $150 for that consult. We're waiving that right now for parents who need this help, okay? So if you need a consult, understand it's no obligation. You don't have to hire us. It's 100% confidential. We can't tell anyone that you even consulted with us, right? So it's all a secret. And then what we would do is meet with you on the phone or by FaceTime and talk about your case, and then we could do all the paperwork that you need and get it all back and forth to you, and you never have to come into the office, okay? So yes, there are 3 things you need to know. We've talked about them in this video. I'm also offering you, because you watched this video, I'm offering you an opportunity to get started on modifying your child support if you've been furloughed, if you've been, had your hours cut, if you've lost your job or you've been laid off. You need to stop the crisis in your child support case before it gets going, okay? So give us a call. We're happy to help. And I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it informative. Please get with us if you have questions. But like I said, we're going to waive your consult fee. There's no risk. So if you need help, this is the time to go ahead and ask for it. And we can go ahead and get it filed with the court to save you a huge headache down the road. Let's get you some relief from this child support that's fixing to become a crushing burden. I know parents don't see raising their kids or supporting their kids as a burden. I'm not suggesting that. I am suggesting that the child support can be a real burden right now, right? Keep in mind, if you've been counting on that refund check from the IRS, if you have a child support arrears, the IRS will garnish your check. Also keep in mind this stimulus check that we keep hearing the government is going to send out. If you have a child support arrears, the Attorney General may very well take that check too. So here's a pro tip on that. If you have a child support arrears, cash a stimulus check. Do not deposit it in your bank. That includes joint checking accounts with your new spouse or your new significant other. Because if you have a child support arrears and your name is on an account, the Attorney General can garnish that account. And then it's up to you to prove that some of that money belonged to your spouse or your new significant other was not yours for Uncle Sam, for the Attorney General to take, right? So be careful to protect your stimulus check. If you have arrears, cash it, don't deposit it, because the Attorney General will seize that money, and now you don't get a stimulus. They're going to give it to the custodial parent. Now he or she gets double stimulus. Now, here is one final tip, okay? We always recommend making good faith payments to your child support. If you are behind, if you are unemployed right now, or you've been furloughed or whatever, understand that in the past, the custodial parent may have been a little bit flexible with letting you pay late or pay a smaller amount and then get caught up later. That custodial parent is very likely going to be much more rigid now because he or she likely needs that money more now than usual, okay? Consider custodial parent in most cases is sitting at home right now. The kids are not in school. There's no school lunches. There's no school breakfast. That custodial parent is having to feed them kids 3 times a day, plus snacks, plus juice boxes, plus whatever else they do, okay? If you're the other parent demands that money, if they really need that money for the benefit of the kids, you need to be paying it. Make a good faith payment. If you can't pay your full child support amount, it is what it is. But don't try to get by with sending her $20, right? The court doesn't care about that. If all you can pay is $100, pay $100. If all you can pay is $200, pay $200. If all you can pay is $20, pay the $20. The courts are much more likely to put people in jail who don't even try to make a good faith effort to pay, okay? So make sure you pay everything you can. Try to stay current on your child support, but if you need a modification, click on the link, follow the link on this website, fill out the information. It's a real short little, comment box, and send that to us so we can reach out to you and coordinate your free consultation. We'd love to get you going. We would love to help you out, and this is the time to act. Do not wait until the Attorney General is knocking on your door and you owe $6,000 or $8,000 in child support, and you're going to tell the judge, "I'm sorry, Judge, I lost my job because of the coronavirus." The judge is they're not going to care. They're very likely going to put you in jail if you haven't been trying at all. Now's the time to file your case, and we look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day. Let us know if there's something else you want to hear about. We're happy to try to help you. Have a great day. End the crisis now. Take action soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.